My name is Veronica Barile. I'm a student at the Foscari University in Venice, and I'm working for the short film festival organized by Foscari. And I'm pleased to meet virtually and to introduce you Leonardo Martinelli, that is the director of the short film Fantasma Neon, in English Neon Phantom. That is one of the 30 films that are part of the international competition of the Foscari Short Film Festival. He is a student at the PUC University in Rio de Janeiro, if it's right, I hope. And Neon Phantom is a short film that is focused on the condition of the delivery workers, mixed with a musical approach. My first question is, I know this is something you have already been asked in other interviews, but how did you come up with the idea and the theme of the film? And because for sure we are talking about the situation that everyone in the world is experiencing, and in different ways, obviously. But is the gig economy a reality you're close with? And why did you choose to focus on the delivery workers?
Veronica, thank you very much for your question. It's an honor to be a part of the festival. And well, that's an interesting question because the topic of gig economy and the precarization of labor rights in Brazil, it's something that has been going on for a few years, but I believe that the pandemic accelerated this process in Brazil and in the whole world. So this figure of the delivery worker became a symbol of this new working conditions that has been spreading in many countries, and in Brazil especially, it represents this extinguishing of labor rights. So I was very interested in talking about these issues that were going on even before the pandemic. The original idea of making a musical about delivery workers is something that I had in 2019, so before the pandemic. But when the COVID came, it gave new meanings, new layers to these workers. So I think it emphasized a lot of what we were already thinking about talking. And we use the musical language in a way to bring contrast to the situation, because I don't think it's the kind of people that you would imagine singing and dancing on the streets. So you're giving new meaning to these bodies, new meaning to the presence of them in film. That's what we seeked and hoped to do.
Okay, it's important. I didn't know that you started thinking about this theme before the pandemic, so it has an importance, more importance than thinking about it after this situation. So very, very nice. My second question is more about your creative process and the genre of the film, because Neon Phantom is quite a mix of a documentary and a musical. So I'm asking you about your creative process, and when and why and how did you decide to include the musical part in the film? And also if music and dance have a particular role in your life.
Yes, thank you. Well, I think that the idea of musical and delivery workers came from the start. The initial idea was to mix those two things that might seem opposites, but I think that would be interesting to bring those two different perceptions in a film together. And well, it's a kind of an hybrid film, as you said. It mixes elements of fiction, documentary, and musical, because we have this fiction story of João, the protagonist, but meanwhile we also have real interviews with delivery workers telling stories of their labor, their condition, and their work during the pandemic. So I believe that the original idea was more towards fiction, but especially when the pandemic came, we thought, no, we have to bring some real people to talk about these issues, to tell their experiences during the film. So I think that gave a lot of the character of the hybrid approach that the film has, giving these new layers on how we talked about these issues, because I believe when we are talking about such a pulsating theme, a pulsating topic, it's more interesting to bring the real people who are affected by these issues.
Okay, thank you very much. And my last question is about your career as a director and the pandemic situation, because since the film has been realized in 2021, how is working in this situation? In your opinion, which are the most important difficulties and problems in those days, today, also in the cinema industry, as you can say in your experience in general?
Yes. Well, the pandemic wasn't easy at all. We had to shoot the film in March 2021 because of the schedule of our funding. That wasn't very high at all, but they had a very tight schedule. We have to shoot it in 3 months. So we made it like in the top of the second wave of COVID. We were very careful. Fortunately, no one in the team, in the crew got COVID. But yeah, it for sure gives new challenges to filmmaking, to film producing, and your whole approach as a director out, because you're ethically responsible, I think, for the health situation of a whole team. And sadly, the pandemic came at the same time that Brazil faces a government that doesn't support culture at all. Actually, the opposite. It's cutting our fundings and other ways of supporting culture, filmmaking, etc. So it came together, those two things, and the production of Brazilian films is being going down a lot because of the conjunction of those two elements. So at the same time, we were very fortunate of being able to do this film, even though we were facing this terrible condition in Brazil, and that the film had some international repercussions. So we're very thankful for the festival showing the film.
Okay, thank you very much. One last thing, is there something you would like to say to our public, because this video probably would be uploaded, and also to young directors, because in our festival there is also a competition for students from 15, 16 years old. Is there something you would like to say in general to us?
Well, it's extremely hard. It is for me. I'm a young director as well, I think. I'm 24. So we just have to, I started at 16, 17, so I think it's around their age as well. But just try to keep going. It has to be something that you really want. You really want to do it for life, because it's a life of suffering, but good suffering in a way, because it has a very satisfying layer after it. It's hard labor, but gives you satisfaction in many different directions as well. So I think it's kind of a cliche, but you gotta love it, and you gotta love the suffering as well. But yeah,
Okay,
that's part of it.
thank you very much.
Thank you.